This is the Four-Man Rush. Hello, Panther fans, and welcome to another podcast of the Four-Man Rush. I'm your host, Timmy VO, here with Kevin and Will, and we're going to talk about some Panther football. Even though not a lot is going on, there are still some things going on in regards to the Carolina Panthers. And you're at the number one podcast to talk about said Carolina Panthers. Congratulations. Nice to have you. So, tonight we're going to talk about one Smitty Wayne's birthday, a.k.a. number 89 himself, Ice Up Son. There was a really cool tribute for Smitty on the Panthers webpage, man. In case you didn't see it, we're going to talk about it. In case you did, well, you can hear our thoughts on it, man. I thought it was pretty sick. It was a great tribute. And we're going to talk about the new director of pro personnel. There's a lot of good moves going on with this rule transition team, and he's bringing in some great people. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we're going to talk about that schedule, Jack. Now, just because COVID's here don't mean that shit ain't going to pop off. So, well, we're going to give our thoughts on the schedule at hand and go in depth about that. So, hang on to your hats, Carolina Panther fans. It's the Four-Man Rush, baby. So, Will, you're up first, man. I guess we'll just go ahead and talk about Smitty real quick and that tribute for Agent 89.
Yeah, I was happy to see them make amends with Smitty. I mean, he's probably my favorite Panther of all time. Anybody that grew up in that era, I mean, I'm sure everyone has some kind of emotional attachment to him, so it was disappointing to see how his relationship with the franchise ended. But, man, we just think about Smitty, the first time he ever touched the ball on a kickoff return, he took it back to the house. And the original coaching staff back in 2001 told him that he was nothing more than a special teams player. So he said, okay, and made All-Pro as a returner. So he was the best, return man in the entire league that year. And that just showed you, I mean, he could have been great in anything he wants. He had that drive. And then once they finally gave him that opportunity to play receiver, he never looked back. I mean, can you name a guy more physical at that position than Steve Smith, in terms of, attacking the football, making contested catches. You see this face? That means I score. Touchdown. Catches, blocking, being on his routes. I mean, he just especially at that size, pound for pound, he's very physical guy at that position. I mean, I think about Terrell Owens maybe, but look, he was more of an athletic specimen than Smitty. But Smitty just had that hunger, that heart. He's just very entertaining throughout his career. I mean, he helped get us to the Super Bowl in 2003.
No flags down. Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime.
On a 3rd and 14.
69-yard play.
Unbelievable.
Had an injury in 2004, and he came back and won the Triple Crown. Led the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I mean, that hasn't been done since, I don't believe, and I don't think it's going to be a while before that ever happens again. I mean, think about how difficult it has to be to lead the league in all three categories.
Exactly.
I think playing in a small market, he kind of went under the radar, unfortunately, but I think he has a legitimate shot to be in the Hall of Fame one day. I think you got guys from that era like Isaac Bruce, Terrell Owens is in, Megatron. I don't know if he got in or not, but he's going to be in consideration. So, I mean, he's in that group. I mean, his numbers justify, being in the Hall of Fame. So we'll see how that goes as well. But, it's just good to see the organization on good terms with Smitty again. I'm just happy to see him repping the Carolina Blue once again.
Absolutely, man. Man, you hit on some classic Steve Smith too. But Kevin, how did you feel about that tribute, and how you feel about, of course, number 89?
Yeah, I definitely think that tribute was well-deserved and definitely put together very well. How can you not be a Carolina Panther fan and not have Steve Smith as one of your all-time favorites? May not be everybody's favorite player, but, anything dealing with the best of the Carolina Panthers, best believe Steve Smith had a part to do with it. I look back over his career, you think about a smallish wide receiver in a run-based offense that went through for several parts of seasons, multiple quarterbacks. Just wonder how good he possibly could have been if, he was in a pass-heavy offense with consistent quarterback play. It just shows that, he's eighth in receiving overall in NFL history in a run-based offense. That says a lot about his ability of what he can do when he gets the ball. When I think about his first two seasons, 01 and 02, as Will stated earlier, he was just a return of special teams guy. Never got the field. That's wasting youth. Missed the 04 season with injury. Then in 2007, Jake Delhomme tore his elbow, had to have a Tommy John surgery after the third game. That's 13 games without your starting quarterback. Had to play the Carback carousel with that. Then 2010, went through four quarterbacks that year in a 2-14 season. I mean, right there, that's 4 seasons during his prime that, in spite of a run-heavy offense that he missed out on. So, as far as numbers and statistics, it's fun to play the what-if game, but, under different circumstances, he could easily be a top 10 receiver all time if things would have worked out right. But, he made the most of what it was, and he's well recognized for what he does now. Again, I applaud Mr. Tepper for reaching out to him. Like, hey, look, I ain't had to do what happened up on the last ownership, but now that this is my franchise, I feel like that amends need to be made, and you need to be welcome back home where you belong.
How does he do it?
Wow. Absolutely wow.
Hell, they might put my mom out there now, and I'm going to beat her like a drum, too.
So hats off to Mr. Tepper for extending that olive branch to Steve Smith to, take the bitterness and saltiness away of what happened under the last regime, primarily under the former GM Dave Gettleman, which Steve Smith had most of his venom towards because he felt like, he had to hear about being released, via TV instead of calling me face to face and telling me as a man. So, but I'm just glad to see that, now that he's, 41 years old and, doing his thing as a top NFL network analyst. He's a constant on the local sports shows here in Charlotte. And, he has no problems, again, saying having his bias for the Carolina Panthers. So, as a lifelong Smitty fan, I'm just glad that, even though he wasn't perfect and had some things that he probably wish he should have never done, that he manned up and he owned it. And, his spot in Carolina Panthers franchise is secured as the greatest wide receiver ever. And I think that his tribute today on his birthday was well deserved. And I'm just glad he's back home and being loved like he's supposed to be.
Good words, man. Absolutely. He deserves a lot more than what he got, that's for sure. But, as you said, man, Tepper got him back home, and we gave him the props he deserves. Hopefully, man, he can come on here and be a guest one day. We'll see. You never know. He's pretty active in the Charlotte community in terms of, dropping in and giving his take on things. So you never know.
At least with him, he's not going to hold back any punches.
Heck no.
Gives it 100, tells it like it is. But, sometimes I wonder, though, like when he talks about DJ Moore and not being a number one wide receiver, does he really feel that way, or is he trying to light a fire under DJ because he knows how athletes become when they have that chip on their shoulder and want to elevate their games to the next level?
That's a good question.
On WFNZ, he denied that. He said, that's not what he's doing. But you look at the DJ Moore clip yesterday for the NFL at Home series.
Hey guys, this is DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers. People always ask about the scene from All or Nothing with me and Steve Smith talking about fantasy football.
So I got him on my bench, DJ Moore.
Okay.
I ain't benching DeAndre Hopkins.
Comes out, criticizes him. I think there's a little bit more meaning behind what he's trying to do there.
I agree. It's motivation, man. That reverse psychology kind of situation, I guess. The big brother poking on little brother to try to make him tougher. I could see Smitty being like that.
Is it not? I got to think about it.
It was funny because he just wanted to win fantasy that week. So our relationship is good. So it was all funny games.
But I really like DJ though.
I can't wait to see him back on the field, man. He got some splaining to do because that boy's a beast. Anyway.
I'm just taking time to really let it breathe. So baby, just chill. Yeah. She love it. We out in public and we can just chill with my partners, and we can go back to my crib and just chill under covers and do we call me and you lovers.
The Four-Man Rush is brought to you by the love and respect of and for the Carolina Panthers and Carolina Panther fans everywhere. Keep pounding. The Four-Man Rush is a non-affiliate of the Carolina Panther organization. All thoughts, assessments, and content of this podcast is directly related to the Four-Man Rush exclusively. Thank you.